rolling. Okay. Hey everybody, it's me. I just got back from the Avengers. It is 3:21 in the morning. I went with a very good friend of mine, Storehouse is on Fire. And, okay. As of right now, no spoilers. I will let you know when I plan to start spoiling things. My overall view is that it was a good movie. It was worth waiting for. Absolutely. It was a fantastic movie. People are saying it's better than The Dark Knight. I wholeheartedly agree. People are saying it's the best superhero movie. I'm on the fence about that. But I loved it. It was really good. It was worth the wait. It was worth the IMAX tickets. It was worth the $10 extra. It was worth going there early. It was worth the midnight premiere and my fucked up sleep schedule. It was worth the crappy costume jewelry I bought to dress to have a Loki-themed outfit. It was worth all of that. It most definitely was. From here on out, spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to get spoiled, click away. Go, 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 go. Oh, no, wait. First, sorry. One thing about it is I really enjoyed it, but I am not a terribly big fan of Joss Whedon, and where Gambit's in the room with me. Where Joss Whedon, I'm just gonna say this really crassly, where Joss Whedon rubbed his dick all over it, he rubbed his dick all over it. So, okay, from here on out, spoilers. So, if you don't want to be spoiled, go. Click away. Get out, because I'm not gonna make any apologies now. Spoilers. I really enjoyed it. I feel like, oh my god, like I said, where Joss Whedon rubbed his dick on it, he rubbed his dick on it, and it was bad. A red flag that was pointed out to me was in the very beginning when Loki was talking about to Nick Fury about how does the boot think of the ant, or the boot and ant analogy, and then Nick Fury had to take it a step farther by saying, "Are you going to smash us?" The analogy is clear enough. We don't need that. Or Coulson's death could have been necessary if he meant something to a lot of the team members, but he didn't. He was a pain in the ass to Tony. He like, as soon as they brought up the him being like a Steve fanboy, which was so cute, but it was so adorable, but it was like one of those 2 weeks to retirement kind of feelings. It was like, okay, so when's he gonna bite it? Steve didn't know him very well. I mean, the ones he had the closest connection to were Clint and Natasha, and you didn't really see how they were personally affected by it. A lot of things were brought up that we wish would have been brought up later, like how Thor hitting Tony with his lightning charged him up to like 400%. Why didn't they use that in the final battle when Tony's armor was going shit crazy? Why didn't Thor just give him a little boost? The fact that Thor's hammer connected with Cap's shield creates this wide mass explosion. They could have used that to clear a street. Easily. A few blocks. Yeah, Coulson's death, it could have meant something, but they didn't play it the right way. So, this is so dumb, and Nick Fury, what I did like about this movie is they showed what a bastard Nick Fury is, because you find out with the baseball cards, holy shit, oh my god, that was awful, that was terrible, and I loved that they showed you what a bastard he could be, because in the past few movies you're like, oh yeah, Nick Fury, and I was sort of like, okay, I know he's a douchebag, but it's Samuel L. Jackson playing him, so I kind of love him, and in this, I was like, oh my god, I was like, they're showing us what a fucking asshole you are, and I really liked that, but honestly, he was the only one who was there when Coulson died. He could have faked it. I don't fucking know. I just don't like to think that Coulson went out in such a poor manner. If he had to die, he could have done it better. I did like that he sassed down Loki. I started crying uncontrollably when Loki was the one that stabbed him, and the following scene with, oh my god, you guys, the scenes with Thor and Loki were incredible. I was so mad, though, so mad that Thor found out off-screen. No! Like, they confronted each other about it, and that was fine. But Thor found out off-screen, and I want a flashback to that or something. I want a deleted scene. I want something. Give me something. of Thor actually grappling with that. The fact that his brother is a Jotun. That's a big fucking deal. That your brother is, to quote Thor, a monster that parents warn their children about at night. He had to have had some kind of fucking crisis before he decided, that's my brother. I don't care, because the first time they confronted each other, I'm just gonna take these off because these were my wrist. And he says, you know, like, he's still our father, you are still my brother. We used to play together, you know, we laughed, and, you know, like, you're my brother, and I love you, and I'm like, this is all perfect, this is what I wanted. Loki's intense anger and rejection and want to go back, that was perfect, that was great. I liked that Loki pretty much manipulated his brother into fighting Cap and Iron Man. I like the way Loki manipulated everybody. Scarlett Johansson took a level in awesome. I guess Whedon was the right director for her. Good for that. Really good for that. Because holy shit, she took a level in awesome. Her acting skills were phenomenal. The scene with her and Loki was top notch. And wow. It was incredible. And I'm sorry, I have a couple of IMs. Okay. So, yeah, Scarlett Johansson's acting was incredible. The dynamic between Clint and Natasha was fantastic. I think they got the right amount of screen time. It wasn't too much and they weren't shafted. With such a big cast, you could tell stuff got cut out. I've seen interviews with cast members that have stated that there was a lot more with Tony and Steve about Tony wanting Steve's approval because Steve's now the closest thing he has to Howard, and they touched on that, but it was more implied, and it was more, I could feel it because I knew this information. It was never explicitly really brought up, but once again, it was a 2.5-hour movie. It was fucking huge, and the movie is going to shine in its deleted scenes when you stick those together with the entire movie, so it's going to be fantastic when it comes out in special edition Blu-ray and everything. That's going to be when it's mind-blowing. It's going to do amazing in DVD sales. Once again, where Joss Whedon rubbed his dick all over it, it was bad. Like, there were some really bad Whedon tropes. When Natasha was the one to go up to close the gate, because Whedon always has to have that superpowered girl that has to be better than the males at everything. No, they don't. They just have to, like, nobody is better than anybody else. Like, god damn it. Comedy. His fucking comedy. Some of these things were just not funny. The Hulk punching Thor, I can understand, because Thor hit him with Mjolnir earlier in the movie. That was fine. That was a good callback. The fact that Loki, in the first half of the movie, we see this... He was savage. He was a predator. He preyed on people. He scorned these mortals. He used them as his playthings. It was a fantastic performance. It was terrifying. It was chilling. It was phenomenal. It was great. It was what I wanted from Loki, because you also saw the vulnerability if you'd seen Thor. If you hadn't, then you wouldn't really have picked up on that. But in the scenes with Thor, you saw that vulnerability still. Or whenever Thor was brought up, you saw Loki had these tics. He would always get really annoyed, look off to the side, give a little hiss. There was always that little bit of vulnerability to him, but he was still the villain. And it was obvious that he was still the big bad. So the fact that Hulk picked him up like a ragdoll, smashed him around on the floor, and that he didn't get up for the rest of the fight, and the final fight was a little bit too long. It was fucking ridiculous. I understand there's a war and everything, but holy crap, guys. Like, that went on too long. I started to get sick. I honestly started to get motion sick. I can't see it in 3D again. I felt like I was going to faint. I was honestly afraid I was going to pass out. I'd lean against my seat and close my eyes for a good 10 minutes. It made me ill. It was a bit too heavy on that at the end. But the fact that you see this villain who's been a predator, who manipulated people, who, you know, turned, like Clint. Like, look at how traumatized he was from that, and, like, the speech that he gave about, like, how do you think it feels to have yourself pulled out and have a new you, like, stuffed in and made, like, to be remade into something that you're not. That was haunting. Joss Whedon took that and made it comedy, and made that comedy the reason that the big bad stayed down. That's really disrespectful on a lot of different levels. I know Loki had to lose. Duh, he's the villain. Whatever, I'm not butthurt about that. He's the villain. He's obviously going to lose. The fact is that they brought up some things that were really personal. If Thor had been the one to take him down, Clint made a really big deal about putting an arrow through his eye. I was waiting for that to come back. As much as I didn't obviously want that to happen to a character that I love, I was waiting for it. And I actually kind of wish that that had been there instead. They built up some things that they just didn't bring back. There wasn't a lot of callbacks to the other movies, but you can't really expect that once again. But Joss Whedon wrote in that the Tesseract, the Cosmic Cube, technology is what made Tony's new arc reactor, is what made his new ticker. He tied that in. Okay. So why didn't that ever come back up? Just, they just could have thrown that out there. Just thrown us a bone and had Tony dismiss it. Like, no, I can't do it because blah, 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 blah. The first half of the movie was fantastic. It was great. It was right around where Coulson died that Whedon started inching in a little bit more. And honestly, the part that I hated the most was how Loki was beaten. It was terrible. People in the theater were laughing, and I was furious. It was so anticlimactic. I was like, really? He's as strong as Thor. And we saw Thor go mano a mano with Hulk. And he did alright. I mean, he fucking did it. The Hulk couldn't pick up Mjolnir. I mean, so I was really disappointed with that because he's still a god. You look at the beginning of the movie, he took bullets to the face and shrugged them off. They clipped him, they hit him here and there. He shrugged it off. He spat them back out. Shit, he didn't care. He's a god. For all of his posturing, he is a god. They've made a point to say that. The actors have all made a point to say Loki is a formidable opponent because he is a god. So why could the Hulk pick him up and throw him around? I'm sorry, that just really, really bothered me. The line at the end with, all of them surrounding him, he's like, actually, I could use that drink. It was so sheepish and, so not... It was so unlike Loki to give in like that, but at the same time, it was really cute. The one line where I was divided right in half is where Thor said, he's my brother. Okay. And then, Maria or something said, he killed 80 people, and Thor says, he's adopted. I was laughing, but at the same time, I was horrified, because this is after we see Thor plead with Loki to come back, telling him, I know what you are, I don't care, you are still my brother, I want you to come home, you are still my family. So, saying he's adopted, it was funny, I was laughing, but, it was one of those things where the more I sit and think about it, the more upset I am about it. I'm like, that's horrible, that's a terrible thing to say, because that takes everything that you said you believed about Loki, that takes all of Loki's points and validates them. Thor, you're not, you love him. You do love him, and Loki loves you, because if not, then he wouldn't have done all of this. It wouldn't fucking matter. I don't know what the thing was, the scree at that, I forget what they were called. And was the person at the end, because as much as I love the movies and the cartoon, they are my canon, so I don't know too much about comics, I only know certain arcs. Was that Galactus halfway through the credits there? Purple?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, okay.
If he's big and purple, it's Galactus.
Yeah, so the ending wasn't really an ending. It just sort of finished suddenly. It was like, okay. I did like that Loki had nothing horrific happen to him. I liked that they didn't kill him, because that just would have been the ultimate cop-out. I liked that he wasn't tortured by the scree or whatever, because I saw, that threat in the beginning of the movie, you will know pain if we don't succeed. I was like, fuck. Well, now I know what's happening to him. No, I like that he and Thor went back to Asgard. That Thor took him back in chains. I like that. That's gonna go some interesting places. Fuzz pointed out, interestingly, the gag thing he had on, reminded her of how in the myth, how they sewed his lip shut, and I thought that was very clever. I don't know if that was a callback to it or not, but it was reminiscent of that, so good job. The bit about the shawarma was fucking hilarious, and it was so worth it to sit through the credits and wait and see them all in that shawarma thing, post-battle, just in that little thing, sitting around a table, looking so displeased, just eating shawarma. And I looked at Fuzz and I'm like, you know they've got Loki hogtied in the back, and it's because you don't see Mjolnir anywhere, so Thor probably just plunked him down on the floor and put the hammer on top of him. Then went off to eat his fucking shawarma. That was great. That was perfect. Like, when the characters interacted with each other, it was so fantastic. And overall, it was worth it. It was worth every bit. It was worth all of the hype. It was worth all of the agony I went through. This was the most excited I've ever been for a movie in my entire life. This is my first midnight premiere. I saw it in IMAX, which I can never do again because I have a headache and I feel kind of sick. It was fantastic. All of the actors were great. All of them. I know I had reservations about Scarlett Johansson. Top notch. She was wonderful. Everybody was wonderful. And it's more of a personal thing with Joss Whedon. If you like Joss Whedon, you will think this is the best movie in the fucking world. And good on you. Seriously, good on you. I'm not gonna blame you for liking it. I loved it. Once again, I once the special edition Blu-ray or whatever comes out, I'm putting my hands all over that. My grimy little mitts are just gonna eat that up. And I will watch it ad nauseum. When Joss showed, he really showed, and it was really painful. I wish Fuzz was here so she could remind me of a few more things, because we talked about this a lot in the car on the way back. But, yeah, but where Joss showed, oh, God, he really showed, and it wasn't funny, it was painful. Like, there were some lines where I was just like, you don't need to keep going to explain that. But overall, fantastic movie. Awesome. I'll end up seeing it again in theaters, I'm sure, with friends back home. I'll pay the $8 again to go see it. Absolutely worth it. Fucking superb. So that was the Avengers, and it was great. So I'll see you guys later.